लोकतंत्र का बजट लोकसभा टीवी की विशेष प्रस्तुति देख रहे हैं आप। वित्त मंत्री निर्मला सीतारमण ने आम बजट पेश कर दिया है और उसके बाद प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने इस बजट को लेकर के अपना संदेश दिया है। उन्होंने कहा है कि यथार्थ का एहसास भी है और विकास का विश्वास भी है। एक ऐसा बजट है जिसके दिल में गांव और किसान दोनों बसे हैं। सभी की ओर ध्यान दिया गया है। आपको सुनवाते हैं प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने बजट को लेकर के क्या कुछ कहा।
नमस्कार। वर्ष 2021 का बजट असाधारण परिस्थितियों के बीच पेश किया गया है। इसमें यथार्थ का एहसास भी और विकास का विश्वास भी है। कोरोना ने दुनिया में जो प्रभाव पैदा किया, उसने पूरी मानव जाति को हिलाकर रख दिया है।
प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने ये बात कही और अब वित्त मंत्री निर्मला सीतारमण।
आज का बजट
this budget of course comes at a time when all of us desire to give greater impetus to the economy, and that impetus we thought would be qualitatively spent and give the necessary demand push if we choose to spend big on infrastructure. That is why if there are two important features of this budget, it is that we chose to spend big on infrastructure, which spans across roads, bridges, ports, power generation, and so on. And also to, as a second feature, attend to the need of the health sector. And even there, capacities for better health management had to be brought in the light of what we have gone through in the last year. And therefore, capacity building in health has taken a very big place in the budget. I've just given a probably just a feeler on what capacities we are talking about, whether it is establishing of labs, whether it is establishing of National Institute of Virology, or whether it is looking at the blocks where you need critical care centers, or whether you're looking at testing labs. Let's just remind ourselves that when the lockdown happened, we had probably just a few, two, if I'm right, 2 or 3 testing labs in this country. During the lockdown, that number was increased to a couple of hundred. Now, therefore, one of the things that we've aimed here is testing labs, Institute of Virology, aspirational districts having better health care. So, infrastructure spend for health has gone down to the level of planning for the block level requirements, aspirational district level requirements, state level requirements, and national institute level requirements. So two features, when I said, are one, in general spending on infrastructure, for which there is a 37% increase in the budget. 5,45,000 crores is what we are giving for this year. And health, it was also something which received something like 94,000 crores in BE of this year, has gone to 223 lakh crores. So you find big numbers in health, big numbers in infrastructure. But this doesn't really mean that we've ignored agriculture, where there too we have placed emphasis. I've increased, as I read it out in the budget, the allocation for NABARD for being able to send more credit through to the farmers. Agricultural infrastructure development cess is something which we are bringing in without on any one single item wherein we are putting the cess, the end consumer paying more than what he is paying today. It is just a restructuring we've done, for instance, of the basic customs duty, where it was, let us say, 12%, we brought it down to 7% and added possibly only 3% on the infrastructure development cess. End of the day, the consumer has ended up paying that much only or less. In no category has he ended up paying more after the agricultural infrastructure development cess. That we have done only because we wanted to be sure that in order to improve agricultural infrastructure, we have a dedicated amount coming out of the budget, rather than that going into the consolidated fund. It might still go, but we know what has got to be used for agricultural infrastructure. So if these are the kinds of things broadly we've done. Equally important is the reform that we're bringing in the financial sectors. Disinvestment to continue, LIC to have IPO, insurance sector to have more in terms of opening up for 74% for FDI. These are very clearly steps, progressive steps in financial sector. Other than that, one major cry of all the banks have been the NPAs, for which we have been repeatedly giving capital infusion. In order that the bank books are cleared and cleaned up, we have come with an announcement of a formulation through which the NPAs will be culled out of the bank's books based on some formulation, not any discretion there. It goes to a holding company like structure, which after doing the necessary, sprucing up and also cleaning up and weeding out problems of that particular asset, will be through an open process, attract asset reconstruction companies which can come and bid for those assets. Even at that stage, after some haircut obviously, banks will get some money back to those NPAs, for which they only kept provisioning for the NPA, but didn't have the wherewithal to dispose them off legitimately. So we are giving that comfort to the banks. And also for funding the infrastructural requirements, a development finance institution is being brought in. All lessons learned from the IDBI, which started as a DFI but later went on to become a scheduled commercial bank-like functioning and couldn't succeed at that, are taken on board. So this DFI, even as it comes with about a 20,000 crore given by the government, which with a little more every now and then added, will eventually be used for raising about 5 lakh crores in a matter of next 3, 4, 5 years, is a formulation where when the law gets passed on that, we will still have an opportunity for the private sector also to set up their own development finance institution. So this country is not going to be, the needs of this country are such that just one development financial institution which is set up by the government will be adequately meeting up with the demand requirements. No, and therefore we see a future for a DFI which is partly funded by the government and raises capital from the market, is also competing with private sector DFIs. Largely this much. But very quickly I'll move over to talking about how we have not lost the opportunity to clean up government's own books. I had started it in July 2019-20, continued it in February 20, and even now we have made accounts more transparent. Nothing is pushed under the carpet. You're showing clearly where's the money going. Money given to FCI is also brought on board. So accounting of government expenditure and revenue statements are all now lots more transparent and open, and absolutely upfront stated the fiscal deficit, where everybody was advising, and rightly because everyone had concern that the economy should revive, advising us, please spend more. We not only ensured that the capital expenditure of the government was repeatedly reviewed and spending was encouraged and pushed, we ensured that the spending will not get delayed, and that is why even though we announced one capital expenditure amount during the BE, even that has gone up, that in the RE I had to make additional provisions for it. With that in mind, we have also increased the spending in the forthcoming year. As a result, borrowing increased. Our fiscal deficit, which started at 3.5 during February 2020, has gone to 9.5% of the GDP. So we have spent, and we have spent. Otherwise, your fiscal deficit wouldn't have reached this number. But does that mean that we are going to show it and forget it? We've also given a clear glide path for deficit management and bringing it down. The Finance Commission has also been suggesting that we should be giving a glide path. We have given our glide path, I think, which broadly explains where we are, broadly gives you a broad picture. Specific items are also there, about which we can expand, but I suppose in response to your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. 6.